check this out. Catholic diocesan hermit approved by Kentucky bishop comes out as transgender. Now this is
comes out of his hermitage.
Comes out. It's like St. Francis comes out walking on his hands or something. He
praise God, this guy didn't go like St. Francis, come out naked. Yeah.
Now, this is complicated because it uses false language. Not only does it use the wrong language, but the bishop we'll see does as well. Okay, so this is a. Mm-hmm. By the way, my wife used the word Sheila the other day, unironically, and I was so proud of her.
After 20 years.
Some Sheila.
Yeah.
Thursday's going to be bleeping all of this so we don't get banned from YouTube. Brother, quote unquote, Matson, a Catholic diocesan hermit in Kentucky, has spent years doing what? Praying, spending time alone. Because it's a right? But in the article it said his monk's habit might catch his neighbor's eye, but he is known in the town where he lives primarily through his work with the local theater. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to get to, though, was this quote from John, what's his name here? John Stowe. Bishop, I beg your pardon. Bishop John Stowe of where?
Lexington,
Kentucky. Thank you. Here's what he said. Who he permitted this person, who is again to be a hermit in his diocese. He says, "What's the matter?"
I'm just looking at page you're on. Sorry.
Oh, 16.
16. Thanks.
My quote. This is a quote from him. My willingness to be open to his.
Yeah.
Oh, him.
To him.
So Thursday changed this.
Yeah.
But he actually said him. He calls a him in this official quote.
Yeah.
My willingness to be open to him is because it's a sincere person seeking a way to serve the church, Stowe said of Matson. Hermits are a rarely used form of religious life, but I don't know what that means, but they can be either male or female, or because there's no pursuit of priesthood or engagement in sacramental ministry, and because the hermit is a relatively quiet, apparently not, and secluded, apparently not, working in local theater, type of vocation. Mm-hmm. I didn't see any harm in letting him. This is more offensive than calling a white person with blackface black. It is like It is less of an error for me to say I am a black man than to say I am a woman. And here we have a bishop of the church going along with this.
You are black, Matt.
I am not black. I just dance really well.
You know what? So obviously this is horrible. But one thing that is interesting is that, and this doesn't apply, so I'm kind of changing the topic slightly, but I'll bring it back, I promise, is that the phenomenon of hermaphrodites is a real thing, right? Where you can't really tell what somebody is. And during the Middle Ages, they would just tell these people, you just choose. You choose which one are you going to do and just commit to that.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
You don't know what you are, but just pick one and go with it. Now, of course, you're not going to get ordained a priest if you choose male, but you have to fit in to some vocational path, and there has to be some sort of commitment to it. Why is this so different from that? Well, in the Middle Ages case, there is absolute ambiguity in the mind of the hermaphrodite themselves.
Right.
They don't know anything with certainty. They are very confused. The only thing that they know what they're certain about is their commitment to lead a certain life, right? What's different here is that there is absolute commitment to the claim of knowing what they actually are. There's no ambiguity. They say, I got all the signs of being a woman, and I absolutely commit unambiguously to being called and identify as the opposite, right? I just find that is really the crux of this. There are on occasion, so rarely, right, cases of ambiguity, and the ambiguity reigns in that. Here in clarity, psychological dysphoria reigns, like real problems does. And I find that that's the key.
I recently had Chloe Cole on the show, who is a detransitioner. And it was such an honor to speak to her. This beautiful young woman who presented as male as a young child as she hit puberty, and then had her chest mutilated because of the lies she was listening to from the doctor, things like this. And it was heartbreaking to talk to her. But I think the thing that that I realized as I was talking to her is it's very easy for us to be so angry with the propaganda that the propaganda and the person sort of blur together, and we've got to be really careful not to hate the person in front of us.
Right.
It's so easy to do that.
That's right.
You go down to Starbucks and there's this person in front of you, and you're pretty sure, really sure, and you can tell they're trying to present as something, and there's something going on. Yeah. It's so hard to not see this person, but just to see the ideology that's being spewed at you from every direction. And kind of, and that the anger towards that ideology you see as incarnate in this individual in front of you, as opposed to this is a beautiful, beloved son or daughter of God, and I should really love them, and of course loving doesn't mean lying, and that's what's so disappointing here, that we're going to allow somebody to lie to herself and to others.
Right, and for a bishop who is supposed to be part of the bulwark of truth.
I don't mean to pick on the bishop, and I would ask those, especially in his diocese, to pray for him and to express their concerns charitably to him. But here's a couple of other things, okay? Stowe wrote an article in January 2023 on synodality. Here's a couple of quotes. Quote, I see crusaders against gay rights break down in tears when they witness the sacrificial love of same-sex partners as one companion deals with a life-threatening illness. This is so disingenuous to me, because he's painting, it seems to me, the crusader, even that language is, the hate-filled bigot against this beautiful, loving couple living together. Here's another one.
Right. Or even they use that good term in Catholicism, like the crusader, right?
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Yeah, is in that negative
Didn't think of that. Yeah. He says, quote, we also cannot be one church if we sweep our differences and difficulties under the rug, as we did with reports of sexual abuse. What? And as we continue to do with systematic racism and our exclusive policies so painfully felt by women, LGBTQ persons of color and others.
Obviously, parts of what he's saying that are true, right? A good friend of my wife just told her that she was gay, and there were certain elements of that we could really affirm. Like she said that she was so happy. Well, I'm happy that you're happy is actually not a lie to tell that person, right? So long as it's followed up with, but you're cutting yourself off from greater happiness, right? Or I'm sure she's a great person, that you're with right now. And you can say that quite legitimately, and that you care for one another quite sincerely. These are all things that we're blind if we don't affirm. And that if we do deny it, then we leave ourselves vulnerable to somebody saying like that.
If we pretend that there are two scenarios, beautiful, holy, joy-filled marriage and haven of filth.
Yes.
It's no, there's clearly a spectrum.
Totally.
We've all known people who've been in relationships with someone they're not married to, and they have a beautiful friendship, and they clearly care for each other.
Yeah.
And obviously that can be the case with two men in a sexual relationship living together. Of course they can care for each other and will each other's good to the best of their ability and knowledge. That these things are true, and so we shouldn't. And maybe when we pretend that can't be true, then it seems silly to people. It's you're not even really listening to me. I actually love my boyfriend, or a woman says I love my girlfriend or something.
Yeah, and then you can be called as in this case, the crusader is an ideologue, right? Because then the ideas go before reality. Yeah. And so you don't receive the reality first. Ooh. You've projected your ideas on it, principally. And so that's a part where I would say, I'll tip my hat to Bishop Stowe there, but obviously he, we would ask for him to have more dynamism too, from his side, and it is these occasions where people have just been leaving the church because they really want somebody to declare these things clearly.
Like it would be one thing if we weren't being told by the government, Hollywood, Disney, big tech, and every powerful institution in our country that we must bend the knee to this lie or we're anathema. So that's what we're being told. And then we have a bishop in the church who should really be trying to proclaim the truth. Because when he says something like that, like I see these gay rights crusaders seeing these people and no one who is on the side of the gay lifestyle is looking at that thinking he's in any way condemning homosexual acts. And I kind of get the feeling that he wouldn't want them to think that. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully he has stated the church's teaching elsewhere. Advocate Mag, a gay publication, has in their article the statement, Stowe, who is known to be a liberal on LGBTQ. So that's the impression you're giving people. But it seems like, you're going to have to, if you want people to be happy, we have to proclaim the truth to them. Aquinas makes this very clear. Happiness isn't merely subjective contentment. It's aligning ourselves to the good. And so we can actually say that the Blessed Virgin Mary was happier with her heart broken at the foot of the cross than a man in a drug-fueled orgy somewhere right now. Like, actually happier. And if that doesn't make sense to you, it's because you don't understand happiness the way Aquinas and Aristotle and the church understand it.
Yeah. Someone should write a book about Aquinas and
really
happiness.
Should. It's an amazing book. Yeah, all right.
It is interesting when you find these sayings when they're talking about getting flagellated or something like that, and they say that like in their obedience to the divine will, that they will it too. It's just, I think that's one of those strange things. I often say, like, if we met a saint, we probably wouldn't like him very much, And I think that was one of these statements that are just so bizarre and so wild. Like, you're willing this evil right now, but that is, it just reveals how in love they actually are. So they want to receive whatever God's giving them, because they just want him.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.